It's a chess match I played recently. It's my last chess match, actually. It's against a guy from Russia, and he was ranked 980, and I was ranked 992. I beat him in about 20 moves, which is really surprising to me that I could do that. But he then went down to 972, and I went up to 1,111. So I just broke the 1,000, which really feels good. But I was nervous the whole time. I was just kind of shaking. And so I'm going to talk through the match a little bit. And it basically, you can see at the top of the screen, it says Russia. And he starts off with the regular move of not a regular move. He brings the queen pawn forward, and I match with my queen pawn. And then he follows up with a knight threatening my pawn to take my pawn. So I bring out my knight on the other side to protect my pawn. And then he brings up a pawn. I don't quite understand that pawn move, so I do my normal, which is get my two knights out there. I bring a knight out on the other side. And now I'm threatening his pawn, although he's got a queen to protect it, so I can't really take it yet. I really can't take that pawn. His next move, I believe, is to what? What's he going to do? He's going to bring out the bishop. Yeah, he brings a bishop out, and he's aimed at the pawn, so he's having a double attack on that pawn. So I bring my bishop up to protect my pawn. So now I've got two protectors on my pawn in the middle above the queen. He's got a bishop and a knight. He brings a pawn forward, so now he's got three attackers. He's got three attackers on my pawn on the letter D5. And so at this point, I think I just probably need to take his pawn, just get it out of the way. Yeah, that's what I do. I take his pawn. His bishop will probably take me. No, he might not, because I would take him with my knight. Well, he takes it with a knight. So then I say, okay, let's go ahead and swap knights. So I go ahead and take his knight with my knight. I like to get rid of players as much as I can because they clog up the place otherwise. And so then his next move is, what does he do next? He takes my knight. So then I say, okay, which he should do because I just took his. So I move my bishop up to threaten him back and say, okay, if you want to do that, let's swap bishops while we're at it. And I aim at his bishop. He could either take me or run away. He decides to take me, and then I decide to take him with my queen. So I move my queen up and take him. So we're even at this point. We each had a knight and a bishop and a pawn. He's got his knight out there now. So at this point, I move my queen back and put him in check to just see what he's going to do there. I thought he'd bring his knight forward, but he didn't. He brought his bishop forward, which I can't take his bishop because he's got a protection by the pawn. And so now I'm going to start to work my pawns. I'm going to do a pawn attack. Oh no, that's right. I'm sorry. First I castle. I castle on the queen side, which I don't usually do. This is a queen side castle because I don't like it because there's more space on the right, but I'm playing black, so I don't have much choice here. And so he, I think, counters with, what does he do? He castles on the king side, the opposite over there. So now I realize where his king is going to be, and I start to plan an attack. So I start to move my pawns. I'm going to give him a little pawn storm here and move my pawns up and go after him. That's kind of my plan. That's all I've got so far is my queen's out there. My queen was able to move right up into his space there, up on G4 next to his knight, and now he can't move that knight or I'd take his queen. He brings his king up instead to defend his knight. Well, I didn't quite understand that, so I started moving my pawns forward a little bit at a time, a couple as protectors, and then I'm going to move, let's see, what's he going to do to that? I moved a pawn forward. He brings his queen over like he's attacking my knight, but he can't do anything with that. He can't take my knight, and he couldn't take that pawn, but I moved the pawn up way on the right-hand side as a protection, just so he can't come in with his bishop. So he brings his knight down to threaten my queen. So at this point, I believe I just moved my queen right over and put him in check. So he's got to move back into the corner again, because he really can't do anything about me. I'm right in the middle there. I'm between his bishop and his knight, so he brings his knight over. So at this point, he's blocking with his knight from the check. His two rooks are blocked. His two rooks are locked in way in the back. So I start moving my pawn forward, like I'm going to go up and do something with the pawn. he thinks he's gonna move a rook over and then get rid of the bishop and attack my queen. I think that's what he's doing here. So I move my pawn up to say, okay, let's do that, and then I'll move over and put you in check. But instead, he doesn't, no, he does exactly what I thought he would. He moved the bishop, so I bring my pawn up and put him in check. So his rook can't do anything about it at this point. So now his king is in check. And so now I can take that knight for free. I just move in and grab his knight. It's a free piece. And he's getting boxed in, as you can see. He doesn't have a lot of places to move. Again, he thinks he's going to go after my queen with his rook. But that's crazy, because now it's checkmate. I just moved my queen in, and now his king can't go left or right, and he can't take my queen because there's a pawn protecting. So that's the end of the game in about 20 moves. I was a little surprised it played out that way. I was really surprised, and when I was playing it, I was extremely nervous. It was like, wow. I could see my hands were vibrating. They were kind of shaking a little bit. I don't know why that is. It felt like I was going on stage to play a concert with Miles Davis or something, which is very strange to me. But that was the game. So it was over in about, I don't know, we did 60 minutes on each side. It looks like I had an accuracy of 47.7. He had an accuracy of 19.2. And then I'm doing a little a check on this. He had a couple blunders. I had like 7 best moves. He had 5. He had 2 blunders and 4 mistakes. I had 1 mistake. So that's kind of, I had 1 missed win. I could have gotten him earlier. I'm not sure what that is. I have to look at that. But anyway, it was a fun game, but it was very tense. And I'm trying to figure out, is this a good thing for me or not to be playing chess? Because it gets my heart rate going. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye. By the way, this is all done on chess.com. So if you're interested in you don't have to pay anything. You go out there and you can just look at things and watch games. You can look at games. You could play games against the computer. There's many computer people out there. Like for a while they had Beth Harmon out there. They got rid of that now, but they got plenty of other players of all levels. So far, against the computer, I'm up around 1,400. Against this now, I'm up to 1,000. So I don't know if I can hold on to 1,000. It gets pretty tough from here forward. I'm in the top 1/3 of all players, but there's players that go all the way up the top is like 3,200. I'm at 1,000. So it's kind of like my marathons. You know, when I ran a marathon, I was 3 hours, and my best was 3 hours and 28 minutes versus the best marathoners were doing it 2 hours and 8 minutes. So anyway, that's the game. Thanks.